Hello, and thank you for joining me for If Walls Could Talk, and welcome to Legal Insights. I'm Jill Bloom, Group Publisher of Walls and Ceilings, and always honored to welcome our legal expert, Trent Cotney, partner of Adams and Reese. Trent, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, Jill, it's great to see you again.
Well, as we say every time, there's never a shortage of content to talk about when it comes to legal issues. And we always appreciate you sharing. So let's start with the statute of limitations. It sounds like there's some important things that everybody needs to know about.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that I get asked all the time, and that's Trent, how long am I potentially liable, and does that ever phase out, right? And there's really two things legally you need to look at in your state. One is what's known as the statute of limitations. That is the statute that dictates, how many years someone has to bring a claim against you, either for breach of contract or construction defect. And the other thing you need to look for is the statute of repose. So oftentimes that statute of limitations is told based on when you discover a problem, but there's usually a back end limitation, right? For example, Florida's 10 years. You can't go beyond that, right? So what's interesting is that a lot of states, not every state, right, but there's a lot of states that will allow you in your contract to shrink the statute of limitations. So that's something that, for example, you could say, you got to bring a claim within 2 years, even if it's a 4-year statute of limitations. So it doesn't work in every state. Some states have specific statutes that do not allow you to do that, but it's definitely something to look at. The other thing I should mention is that you always want to make sure that the warranty is the sole and exclusive remedy in your contract. So if you end up with some kind of issue that's related to a defect, that's the way they've got to prosecute the claim. So a lot of different things that you can do contractually to kind of tie all that in together. But I've had some conversations recently, and I'm kind of surprised that a lot of contractors don't know that you can do that.
Yeah, so how does the contractor find out what the statute of limitations are in their state?
Sure. So every state has a set of statutes that govern the timeframes for various causes of action. So you can, do a Google search for it. You're welcome to reach out to me. I've got a chart that kind of goes through everything and identifies what's what. So happy to kind of share that with anybody that wants it. But yeah, generally, if you Google what the statute of limitations is in your state, it'll pop up or it'll direct you to the actual statutes themselves.
Very nice. Well, charts are always easy and handy, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Thank you for keeping that available. The other thing we were just talking about is NRCA has an opinion later on lead standards. Mm-hmm. Has something changed or something come up? Can you tell everybody what we need to know about lead standards?
Yeah, so OSHA did a request recently for, it's engaged in some rulemaking and has asked for some public comment on permissible exposure limits for lead. Now, obviously in construction, you may be exposed to lead, especially in roofing or dealing in, with building envelope type construction. There may be lead paint, there may be lead that's contained within flashing or other items that are on there. So, being able to make sure that the rules that are promulgated are construction friendly while still encouraging safety is important. So, NRCA is leading the charge there by getting a good response out and kind of walking through the history of lead standards within the current regulations. And, I think there'll be a lot more to come from this, but anytime OSHA starts asking for stuff, it means that ultimately there's going to be some new rules out there. So stay tuned for me.
Well, I would, and for sure, it's great to talk about this because that's important for wall and ceiling contractors as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just speaking of great information, you're going to be speaking coming up here in a couple of weeks at Best of Success in Scottsdale, Arizona. And you're going to be talking about collections.
Right.
There's so much important to know.
Very excited about this. I encourage everybody to look this up, go check it out on the internet because Best of Success this year, fantastic venue, great time of year, Scottsdale in the summer. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm speaking on collections, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in some expert level tips on there, stuff that you probably haven't heard before that will give you some additional tools and weapons in your arsenal to hopefully get you paid. Now that we're kind of entering into a sort of uncertain zone with the economy and inflation increasing and interest rates increasing, it's it's really important that you've got all those tactics at your fingertips. So really recommend everybody sign up for Best of Success, and stay tuned, because I'm looking forward to being able to speak to everybody here in a couple weeks.
Well, we're excited to hear your top level expert opinions on that for sure. Well, Trent, thank you so much for joining me. If anybody has any questions, what's the best way to reach you?
Sure, they can reach me at trent.cotney@arlaw.com.
Sounds great. And if anybody has any questions for us, it's roofingcontractor.com, wconline.com, or buildingenclosureonline.com. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for our free e-newsletters and our free e-magazines, so you can always stay up to date on our great videos, especially when you're talking about legal insights with Trent. Thanks again, Trent. Everyone, talk to you soon.